Hello, everybody.
I think we're on.
Nice. Let's get started. Welcome to Cluedo's webinar for public sector websites. My name is Antti, and I'm hosting this webinar with my colleague Bogdan. We both have various experience working with councils, municipalities, and local government in general. And for you listening in the webinar, I think the main point is the experience from other councils and municipalities. Even though if you would be in different countries, then experiences are relatable and it could be inspiring as well. So I wanted to start by introducing all the participants here. We have Emma from Gravesham Council. There you are. And we have Gudni, who is working as a customer success manager for Reykjavik. Reykjavik is, if nobody doesn't know, it's capital of Iceland. And then we have Andras, who is working as a data scientist working with AI at Cluedo. And then we are starting with Bogdan giving a bit of introduction to the topic. Bogdan, here you go.
Thank you, Antti, and hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So we thought about starting with maybe highlighting some of the main challenges that we keep coming across when we connect with prospects and with customers at universities, councils, and so on. So in general, the public sector websites. And the first main challenge that we wanted to highlight, but keep in mind it's not an exhaustive list. The first challenge is having a coherent user experience. Now, public sector websites often serve a wide range of people, from tech-savvy users to those who barely use the internet. And the challenge is creating a site that's simple and intuitive for everyone. Because cluttered layouts or confusing menus or websites that aren't mobile-friendly can frustrate users and drive them away. Which brings us to the second point, and that is accessibility and inclusivity. So one of the biggest challenges for public sector websites is making sure they're accessible to everyone. This includes people with disabilities who may rely on screen readers or keyboard navigation, as well as users with limited literacy or non-native language skills. So the goal is to design websites that are truly inclusive, where no one feels left out. Another point that we keep coming across is managing content. And that is because public sector websites deal with massive amounts of information. That means that keeping everything accurate, organized, and relevant is a tough job. And many websites also have subsites where the content also needs to be managed. So, for instance, one of our customers, Aarhus Municipality in Denmark, has over 200 subsites, each with content that needs to be managed. And with Cluedo, they are able to have a unified control center used to analyze the traffic across these 200 subsites, as well as the user behavior and journey. For example, they can discover dead ends or searches that render no results, the infamous 404 pages. And last but not least, we have the multilingual support. Because when it comes to diverse populations, offering content in multiple languages isn't just a convenience, it's a necessity. As we know, public sector websites often serve communities with varying linguistic backgrounds, and providing information in multiple languages ensures equitable access to critical services and resources. However, implementing multilingual support effectively is more than just translating text. It involves maintaining cultural sensitivity, ensuring translations are accurate, and adapting content to reflect the nuances of different languages and dialects. So this would be some of the challenges we wanted to highlight, and I will now pass it back to Antti.
No worries. I wanted to talk a bit about accessibility. VCAG 2.1 or 2.2, depending on country and legislation. And I wanted to briefly say how accessibility is linked to finding information and search itself. So think about you try to find certain kind of information on the website when my garbage bin is picked up on something else. If the right result is on the third page, it takes lots of time to find the correct information. And VGAG itself doesn't say anything about that you need to easily find information. So it's a more of a usability part of it. And then when we talk about, let's say, misspellings, typos, sometimes, especially from accessibility perspective, it might be hard to find exact right keywords or if there's synonyms in use. So having a powerful search behind usually increases the accessibility of the website, simply because it's the main way to navigate for special groups. And maybe as a second part, what we've seen is the development of self-service application and huge push for digital services the last 5 years. Cost savings has been usually important aspect of it, but it's also the user expectations have been pushing this trend. And I wanted to put Emma from Gravesham into the spot here, because you have a long experience working in the council space. How have you seen this trend the last 5 years about?
Well, last 5 years, everything has been with growing online. We embarked on our first big transformation program probably 2018, as we were starting to put our processes online, and COVID-19 probably sped that up. And all of a sudden, everybody's at home and can't come here, can't see us, can't talk to us. We didn't have a phone system that could handle that many calls. So more and more stuff, everything that wasn't online, then all of a sudden had to go online very, very quickly. So we're continuing to see more of those processes, not just for residents that we serve as a council, but we also serve businesses. So the demand, of course, is increased, and people want to do business with us 24/7. And so whilst we might work in an office in office hours, people go home, you put your dinner on, your kids go to bed, and people do their business, pay your council tax or book for a bin collection. They might be doing that 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, or even 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So we found more and more people trying to do business 24/7, 7 days a week. So more and more people want to do things themselves. Self-service is important, and so when you look at searching on the website, people are asking us questions. It's like they're having a conversation. They are searching on our website like they would Google. So they are asking us, how do I do this? Rather than ask the question, bin collection, they're asking, when do I put, so they're forming a question. And so that helps us in terms of like keywords and ranking. If our content is written well, it will respond and it will give them the correct answers. But I think people are now expecting to take it a bit further, more like with AI that's being used. People are expecting probably a bit of a chat, a conversation to maybe understand. And when we talk about accessibility, they might be able to find the information, and that's fine. That's our job, is to have the information exist, help people find it, but do they understand it? And so I think you'll see more AI in business, where people want to ask questions because they may not have that level of literacy.
And that, I think that's a good segue. We previously talked about implementing AI. Do you have any good ideas of, let's say, experience? Can you just go and choose something new, or do you actually need to talk about internally, put guidelines in place, because this is relatable for everyone else?
So I muted on. Okay. AI for us, I think the future would be having a chatbot, which could then can add on top of our Cluedo search. So it is finding the information, answering questions for the person. On our old website, we used to have a web chat pop up, a legacy that wasn't accessible. And so we decommissioned it when we went to our new website, and that was operated by customer service. So it was real people sitting there answering. It wasn't very effective, but people loved it because they felt that they, even though they were still being told, here's the information, here's what you need to go and do, they felt that they were getting something from it. There was someone chatting to them. So it would be lovely to have that. And I think that's the future of how we could use generative AI. But until we have our internal governance in place, our artificial intelligence policies, it'd be really hard for us to jump straight into that without knowing that we've got everything sorted here first. But that's really key for helping a user find the information and then understand it and take it a step further.
It's better to be safe than sorry. Trust me, I've been hearing the same case from lots of other municipalities in the UK or in Finland or in Sweden. And I think that leads to a question to Andras in Cludo's side, because AI chat, it has given promises starting a few years ago, and the cost of developing AI-based chats have been drastically going down. I have two questions, Andras, for you. One is, what is causing the reduction of cost of AI, and maybe what are the benefits compared to traditional chats, which needs maintenance?
Good questions, Antti. So I think to answer the first one, it has to do with how widely available these AI models have become. These models that we use for generative AI are known as large language models, or LLMs. Some of you might even use them. There's the ones known as ChatGPT or Gemini, you might have heard of. And basically, when they came out about a couple of years ago, they used to be more expensive, less accessible. Of course, smaller versions existed previously as well, but nowadays there has been a lot of investment in this space, so they have become a lot less costly. So it's easier to also implement them in real life applications like we have done. And to answer the second part of your question, comparing these new generative AI tools to legacy chatbots, the main difference there is that these sort of legacy chatbots need a lot of maintenance, a lot of rules need to be implemented, and that requires a lot of human work and input. While on the other hand, with AI-based chatbots, what you get is an underlying technology that's a little bit different. It's trying to put more of the work on the AI, take it away from the human. So you have to do less of the rules, less of the manual labor, and just basically let the large language model answer your question based on the available information. So that would be my answer.
Super nice. Thank you. Then we have done all the introduction parts. We go to the main part of the webinar. So we will have 3 case studies. And now we fly off to Iceland, capital Reykjavik, and they have done something special, search first design. So we have Gudni joining us. Can you tell a little bit about the search first design and what that means?
Let me first unmute myself, and thank you for having me. So search first design prioritized on the search function as a primary way of users to interact with the website. So instead of navigating through the menus, subcategories, and static pages, users are encouraged to type what they need directly into the prominent search bar. This design approach is rooted in simplicity and user centricity, recognizing that people often know what they're looking for and want to find it really quickly.
Yeah, let me just unmute myself. Perfect. What was the idea behind implementing search first design? And maybe you could give a few examples on that.
The modern search first design leverages advanced technologies like AI and machine learning to create more personalized and efficient user experience. And the first reason why it works is we learn from the user behavior. So these systems track and analyze how users interact with the search function, what keywords they use, which results they click on, and how often specific queries are made. So over time, this data helps the system to predict what the users are most likely looking for and adjust search results then accordingly. And as an example, if many citizens are searching for property taxes or waste collection schedule during a specific time of the year, those systems can prioritize these results for similar queries in the future. And another example could be that prioritizing frequently searched items. So by interpreting trends in search queries, the design surfaces the most common sought information at the top of the results. So this ensures that users don't have to sift through irrelevant links to find what they need. So for an example that is a good example for Reykjavik is that during the winter time, searches related to road conditions or snow removals might increase. So the system can automatically elevate these results based on this seasonal demand.
That sounds smart and relatable. Maybe last question for you. If somebody is curious about search first design, how could they start their journey for this type of experience as web admins and content managers?
So I think to adopt the search first design officially, it is obvious that we have to start by making the search bar prominent and easy to find with clear labels and enough space for longer queries. So offer textual suggestions, for example, like did you mean or related topics to kind of guide the users. This can also include boosting, where you can control the relevancy of the search results, where one area of the site has more value than others have less value. So it's also important that the search for mobile and voice use, so ensuring that it works seamlessly across devices, so with responsive design. And finally, it's really important to regularly test and refine the search function based on the user's feedback and evolving needs to keep the experience smooth and efficient.
Thank you, Gudni. We'll jump to the next case study. Bogdan, it's all yours. And Emma, of course.
Thank you, Antti. And yes, for the second part, or for the second case study, we're going to go back to Emma at the Gravesend Borough Council, who have a more traditional way to work with search. So Emma, if we are to start at the top, what are the different ways that users usually take to find information on a website, on your website? And secondly, how do you see the role of the search function in those particular journeys?
So taking the first in terms of I can refer to our stats, is we know that most of our website traffic actually comes from Google. So we know that people are searching. We know that they are searching something more than navigating. So we expect people to either come directly and like to traditionally navigate and click on things, or they might land on a page that they found on Google, or they may just come to the main council's website and our search bar is quite very, very clear on our homepage, and then they start their journey. So we track our destination pages. We've got the search bar on our homepage, and we've got the search bar also on our contact us page. We also have the search bar within our header at the top. So if you were lost, well, not lost, if you had found what you're looking for and you want to ask more, you could then continue it. So we don't want people to end up lost, but search is overall the most popular, whether that be Google search or, as I've said, more and more people are coming to our website and asking us questions. So we know that of all of the website traffic, 5% of our website traffic equates to how many searches there are. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that is nearly 100,000 searches a year using Cluedo, of which 70% of those at least are always unique searches. So that's 70,000 people a year are coming to here and searching. So search, I think, is one of the most important things that people are using to find information. So it's really important for me as the content designer to ensure that our content is written well and people can find it. And that's why we're constantly reviewing, looking at our ineffective searches and looking at trends. But Cluedo works seamlessly for us in the background, and it helps auto rank the content, the search results, so people are always finding hopefully what they need.
I'm happy to hear. As a follow-up to that, and you already touched a bit upon it, but when it comes to the user search behavior, you mentioned you look at website traffic data, but what kind of maybe other data do you collect, and how do you incorporate that data in your decision-making process? Maybe content creation, which is something that you're familiar with.
So we would look at the trends and what people refer to. So if we take bins and rubbish and recycling as one area, when we designed our website and we think of it as 16 individual businesses, so 16 areas on the homepage, and they're all fighting for that space. But what we might call as rubbish, others might call waste, others might call recycling. And so it really helps us to understand the synonyms on what terms people are using. So it helps us with the 404s, the intelligent 404s, which is brilliant because it helps people. You might have meant something else, and that's really how it helps us take things one step further in hopefully having ineffective searches. We want to see as least of those as possible. You can't eradicate, you can't stop it, and people come to us as their counsel and ask the most bizarre things, and we can't give them answers to everything. But we want to give them answers for things that they are searching, so it really does help with behaviour. If there are things going on in the news, in government, someone's got gossip on Facebook, people might still come to our website and ask those questions. So we do see some spikes, and then we respond to them. So especially around COVID time, when people were searching for maybe some types of grants, household support funds, energy grants. If we don't have that information on our website, they can't find it. And so Cluedo quite quickly tells us on our dashboard there's a spike. Lots of people are searching this and they can't find it. So it's my job to then go away and say, hey, should we have a page of this information? So it really does help from a point of view.
That makes a lot of sense. If it's not on the website, it's almost like it doesn't exist, right? All right, and as a final question for me, maybe looking back at your experience so far, what learnings, either positive or negatives, can you maybe share with some of the people in the audience that are looking into taking a more systematic, data-driven approach to search on their website?
So we knew that when we went for our new website, our new website is 3 years old, nearly. We knew that search was one of the most important things that our management team wanted. Sorry, I've got a call coming through annoyingly.
No worries.
We knew that search was what management team wanted. It was critical to our new website, and so it was the perfect opportunity to implement it. And with Goodney, who was our customer success manager, she really helped us in teaching us how to implement it best. So it is machine-led learning, and so you have to trust it. And we love the autocomplete. So you're searching and it predicts what the person might be searching based on behavior, based on trends, based on the top ranking pages. And we wanted that straight away. But we couldn't have it straight away because we didn't have the data. So we turned that function off. We let it, I can't remember if we ran for 3 or 6 months, but we let it run for a period of time, build up the data, and then we could turn the autocomplete on. And that worked brilliantly. The banners is something we're really proud of because that is highlighting the information at the top of the page. Whilst the ranking works brilliantly, sometimes having things in a bigger green box really does help the person. It makes it stand out more. One thing that we decided is, whilst we have other websites, we have a democracy website where all of our key decisions and our committees happen. That's a subsite. We do not search that because that has 20 years worth of reports on there and documents. So we actually only crawl our main council website. And that's been brilliant because it means that we're just focusing on the council services. It is something that we could build upon if we had subsites in the future. And you can choose if you want to search for documents or not, but we chose to ignore them. And so you can really tailor it and set it up as you need to. And one of the final things that I would say is a real benefit, because I love stats, is we excluded our IP addresses. So our council IP addresses. So when we look at the search, we know that it's not us. So we want that data to be our residents. We don't want the data to be our staff. Yeah. So they're my key takeaways.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Emma. All right, I think I will give it back to Antti right now, who I know has another use case ready to jump into.
Thank you, and it was interesting talk. Thank you, Emma. I could go deeper into what council members are trying to find from their own website versus internet for a long period. But Andras, let's take you upstate. And when we're talking about finding information, we've been talking a bit about chatbots. We've been talking about, let's say, finding the right content. What are the benefits of AI-generated summaries in public sector websites?
So I would say that the main benefit is that the summaries are basically able to condense a lot of data into just one quick summary, a short summary rather. And this means that when you have multiple complex documents that would be otherwise maybe difficult to read through, what you get instead is a short, easy to read and a quick to appear summary basically here at the top. And the great thing about this, I think, as well, is that it is able to handle large amounts of data. So it can summarize a lot of documents at once. And we also support multiple languages. So this doesn't only work for English, but also other languages that we have customers in.
How much appreciated for that, being a non-native English speaker myself. What about what is your take on, can AI chat reduce workload for public sector employees?
Definitely. I think a lot of the questions that of course, this is something that I've just seen in the data, is that a lot of the questions are very easily answerable based on what content is to be found on the website, and this would be very sort of common inquiries or repetitive questions, and it takes off a lot of pressure off from the employees to have an AI answer these questions, rather than them having to do that work. And so by having the AI, the employees would have also a workload that is much more efficient and reduced.
I think this is a good point, coming back to Emma, when she mentioned that traditionally they used to have a man-powered chat, and people like to get the links to actual content.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
What about then, now we've been showing the Vejle Kommune, that's a municipality in Denmark, their website. Can you tell a little about the implementation, how it went with Cluedo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. So Vejle Kommune is a municipality here in Denmark. And so it was actually pretty straightforward to implement AI chat with them, because their search had been powered by Cluedo for some time before we implemented the chatbot. And it's also actually very easy to do as a customer. Basically, customers can build the AI chat module themselves. We have something called the Experience Builder, which is in a new tool in my Cluedo that lets you build an AI chat experience without doing any coding. I think we have an about 5-minute video on our YouTube channel where my colleague Anna demonstrates how to build this whole chat experience for a new page. It's really easy. We've made it very simple. You can add a lot of different settings there, what language you'd like it in, which engine you want to have it attached to, and yeah, and I think the important thing to note here is that the main idea is that the AI chat would only answer based on the content on your website. I know that a lot of people are worried about what we call hallucinations in AI.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that the AI would come up with would present untruths, let's say, as facts, or information that isn't actually factual as factual. But that's not going to happen in our implementation, because what we have is a chatbot that takes data from the crawled content that's on the website and only bases its answers on that data. And if it doesn't find an answer, it will refuse to answer. And this is how we mitigate the issue of hallucination. And another thing this is just the last thing I want to add here, is that we have crawlers that actually crawl the website every 24 hours, which means if you make any updates, add new pages, or make changes, then that is also going to be reflected. So the AI chatbot can be sort of kept up to date this way.
Thank you. It was insightful. And that would actually end up the official part of 3 different case studies. We will have now possibility to ask questions. So I think all of the participants will be joining up here. And you in the audience, just if you have any questions, you can direct them to one person and ask, or just ask generally. And we'll pick up the questions when they're coming up.
Okay, yeah, first question from Lily Davis. Maybe we can send this to Emma. So Emma, what level of technical understanding do you have to have in order to use the platform, I assume Cluedo, and make adjustments, move things around?
I would say that it's very user friendly, and you've seen a huge shift technically in the last decade to more low code.
Oh,
we lost your
did we
sound.
lose you? Typical live webinar case. No, still nothing.
Maybe until Emma gets the sound back, we can take another question. Or is she back now? Nope.
Cannot hear anything. That is weird. It's just no.
I can't hear you, but
we can hear
you. Can hear
it's
you.
okay.
Okay, so like that we run now, you don't have to have a huge amount of knowledge in HTML or coding or CSS. So taking on board like an extra thing like this, it's a web-based platform. The dashboard is super simple. And it's not technical. The most technical part is getting it set up, but we did this with our website provider. And it's through an API. So it links together with what content management system you're using, and the rest is really logical. You know if people can find things, you know if people can't find things, and it's very similar to analytics. You're seeing if people are clicking on things, you're looking at the behavior. But technically, you don't need to have a lot of technical experience to use it.
Thank you for the insights.
If you can hear us. Yeah. Maybe something for Andras from Matthew. How fast is the response time for AI chat or summary?
Yeah, so I'd say it's pretty fast now. With AI summary, we've recently implemented something called streaming, where basically as soon as you hit the search button, we're going to see that a banner appears and it's going to start returning an answer, or a summary rather, in this case, word by word, just like you have it in ChatGPT. So that means that you can start reading the summary before the whole thing has been finished, and that's almost instant. So that is also coming to AI chat. So yeah, I think we're getting faster and faster with every iteration of this.
All right. We don't have any more questions, any other questions. But yeah, if you guys get something later on, feel free to reach out to us. You can obviously go to cludo.com to find more information or get in touch. Antti, do you have anything to add?
Just to summarize maybe the main points what we went through. I think it was interesting to see the Reykjavik's search first navigation. I've started seeing that in Finland and Sweden, but it's less than 10% of the sites who have it, but it's usually the more modern pages actually start to have it. So thank you, Gunni, for that. For Emma, lots of good experience. I like that you are basing most of the decision on data. You are really tracking it. That's, I think it's a goal for lots of councils, but they are a bit below where maybe you are. So there was lots of good learnings on that side. And then talking about the trends, push for digitalization, different aspects of it, also the AI part, the pros and cons of it. Let's say making sure that all the policies are in place. And Andras, thank you for going more into explaining how AI works behind the hood or under the hood. From our side, I think that was it. Thank you for joining the webinar. We'll be playing a short teaser of one of the councils we went to in Denmark to the end. But if you have any questions, let us know.
Til Vejle i dag, her fredag morgen, for at overrække prisen som årets Pioneer 2024 Cludo Award. Vejle var den første danske kommune, der ligesom gik live med vores AI-chat, og faktisk også vores AI-summary. Så nu skal vi ind og overraske hele webteamet, og jeg tænker, at de får et chok, når de ser os. Vi glæder os tilbage til studiet.
Surprise! Hej Tina, hvad laver du? Fra København. Altså, han var simpelthen, han kørte rundt, og jeg vidste ikke lige. Nå, vi er taget over for at overrække årets 2024-pris. Så AI Pioneer. Nej, hvor dejligt. Første kommune, der gik live med vores AI-chat og summary. Ja. Så det skulle fejres. Det var godt. Det er godt at være lidt frontløber en gang imellem. Jeg sagde det faktisk lige til Jacob. Da I startede, der hed den ChatGPT 3.5. I dag hedder den 4.2. Så meget forbedret. Så sjove resultater for halvandet år siden. Lidt bedre i dag, tænker jeg. Ja. Det er godt. Det har også været bundet. Det kan jeg nej, Jesper! Jo, jeg står og kigger efter dig. Det bliver sgu ikke godt. Og vi skal kigge rigtig godt efter. Jamen, tusind tak for det. Jamen, værsgo.
Tusind tak. Emma, thanks a lot for joining for this. I'm sure it was insightful, and people just love to hear experience from different councils and different countries. Thank you, Andras and Gunni, as well.
Thank you.
I wish you a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.